Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're doing this video just to partially address the pestilences that are coming up on the earth right now, and particularly the coronavirus that has come from Asia, China, and is now in about 70 countries. There's a lot we would want to say, but we can't say it all. So this video is a first video on this matter. We have said things from the pulpit, etc., in terms of guidelines, suggestions, recommendations. Also, we have recognized the guidelines given by WHO, World Health Organization, guidelines and recommendations, those given by the CDC here in America, by local authorities, maybe statewide or local. We recognize the efforts they make, and we have given out some of these guidelines in our church, that it's available to the brethren. Right here in New York, we want to pay some more attention, and it's always good to talk, even if we think it's not that risky yet, or is very risky already. It's always good to keep the communication lines open. And this is the Harvest Army Church, and we're right here in New York. We have churches all over the world, and but this particular talk right now and recommendation is referring mainly to New York. Others are free to follow, but this is specifically for the churches in New York, the Harvest Army churches in New York, and the leaders, and we are in communication, etc., etc. There are some decisions to be made that we'll be announcing by midday tomorrow. But now, what I'm talking about are things that we believe are necessary recommendations. One of the things that we want to pay attention to is an area called assessment. Brethren, friends, members, we encourage you to assess your workplace risk. Now, let me just say that what we are saying right now, nothing that we say we claim to be scientific or, this is just pastoral recommendation, guidelines, matters of prayer, matters of counsel that folks are free to follow or not to follow. But, as I say, we keep the communication lines open. If you're a professional, you know better. It's fine, more power to you. But we keep the lines open, and that's what we're trying to do right now. Myself being the senior leader of the ministry, I just want to keep the lines open. The communication, you can communicate back as well, and say, you think this should be stronger, this should be weaker, etc., etc. But we're talking about assessment, workplace risk. There, it is wise to make an assessment of your workplace and how risky it is, and how exposed you are, etc., etc. Traveling risk, airports, buses, public buses, trains, taxis. Yeah, that's assessment. It's wise to make an assessment and make decisions based on your assessment. You don't just do things, willy nilly, and have no assessment. The next area is the area called personal. We talk about assessment, no, personal. It means, therefore, matters of spiritual warfare. Even though we have all these guidelines, guidelines that we are following and trying to follow and are assessing, we want to know that whatever we are doing, we are dealing with the spiritual warfare, where we are praying against these attacks. We are praying against diseases. We are praying against pestilences, and we are covering our people, our family, ourselves under the blood of Jesus. So there must be personal spiritual warfare going on in the midst of all this. And then we want to be very conscious. You want to be very, very conscious, not only a matter of assessment, but you want to be conscious of things that you generally wouldn't think of. You want to ask the Lord to keep you conscious and aware and sensitive and find yourself monitoring, the different changes that are happening in the news and in other areas. So that's personal. Then we go to the A of responsibility. So we started with assessment, then we went to personal, then we're now at the A of responsibility. Now, responsibility, every household is every member of the household is not only responsible for himself first, because you got to be healthy to be able to help the others, but also be responsible for the rest of your family, your spouse, your children, your aunt, your uncle, your relatives, or whatever. Whatever you do not consider yourself only, because it's a part of us that will take more risk if it's just about us. But it's not just about us. So you want to remember your family. If anything go wrong with you, your family is more exposed, and so that family consciousness, that family responsibility, like personally, one of the things to consider, like for example, those of you ladies who love to go and do your hair, and those men love to go and cut your hair, you want to evaluate that. You want to make an assessment of that, and you want to, even though your hair is, getting pretty high, you want to cut it, man. You want to really know, when you go to that barber, is it a safe place? Is it, etc., etc. And yes, you want to really, and you ladies, you're going to the hair salon, and those folks gonna have their hand all over in your hair and whatever, and other, it's a kind of public place, so a public enclosure, a small enclosure. So you want to really assess, you want to be responsible, and remember, it's not just about you, it's about your family, about the baby at home, and etc., etc. You want to be responsible also concerning your employment. You don't want to put yourself into a position where you may lose your job, but you want to be conscious. You want to be conscious, you want to be evaluating. Also concerning your ministry, as I said, by tomorrow this time, we'll be making an announcement concerning certain decisions concerning the ministry, because there are times when you advance, and there are times when you halt, and there are times when you retreat. I know many don't think of that. They think it's only advance. No, if you're a qualified army, there are times when you advance, there are times when you halt, and there are times when you retreat. But we're in prayer, and we'll do as the Lord lead. Whatever the Lord says will be fine. Now, then the area of public appearance, going out to the store, going to the shop, going out for a walk, going to the park. You want to consider reducing that. You want to consider moving around less. You want to consider driving around less. You want to, ensure that your home setting is fully sanitized and is above contamination. And when there are questions, you stay there. Generally, you stay there. And there are questions. So you wanna you wanna keep you wanna be aware that the more often you go out, it appears to be more risky. It appears to be more risky. You go among a crowd, you have no control over the crowd. You go, so you make sure you do your shopping, and you don't have to do it very often, because you get enough. Then you're talking about awareness. We're talking about public appearance. You're aware of the risk, aware of where you are. If you go to supermarket, you make an assessment. If you go down the street, you make an assessment. When you go out to preach, you make an assessment. You don't just, and etc., etc. Then, so I've talked, I'm going pretty fast, but we'll do a second one. We were talking about, we first started with the World Health Organization, the CDC, local authorities, then we went into assessment, then we went to personal, then responsibility and consciousness, then public appearance, and then sanitizing. We try to sanitize ourselves, wash our hands, and use some of those disinfectants. The ladies know much about it. I'm learning a lot too. Disinfecting the ear, the doorknobs, just about everywhere. In my house, I'm sorry to tell you, but in my house, I disinfect my house every day, everywhere, every day. I'm sorry, don't follow me. You don't have to follow me. Let me say it this way: you don't have to follow me, but that's what I do. Sanitize your church, everywhere the church, everywhere the ear, the knobs. The sanitizers in the church, sanitize. It's not going to be a church that things happen. No, it's going to be elsewhere. because the churches are going to be fully sanitized. Yes, then you have your home, sanitize your vehicles. Some folks forget the vehicles, sanitize the vehicles, spray those stuff in there, the doorknob, the steering, everywhere. Yeah, and close it up for a while, get out, and then go back later. You know, okay, if you have sanitizer in there, if anybody come in the car, visitor, come on, just give them a sanitizer, they rub their hands, and it's good for them and it's good for you. All right. Hmm. The vehicles are the toys, you don't overdo the toys, but you do something to wipe the toys, or you guys know how to be careful to do the toys because they are for babies. So you can get official advice on the best way to do the toys, but you try to keep the toys clean. The babies have to put it in their mouth, and the children playing all day. Then you have the job space, desk, surfaces, the air, you'll be aware. Then we go to area now called resistance. Resistance, of course, if you're having more trouble than you think is manageable, then you get medication from a proper doctor, and you have over-the-counter medication for the lighter things, and we're not just talking about the corona, any kind of airborne disease, flu, influenza, SARS, and all of those. But of course, anything for corona, you got to get the official attention. You call the proper departments and do what you got to do. And then, okay, so we have resistance and medication, official medication from your doctor. Then over the counter, helps and so on. Then home remedies, some folks, I'm from the Caribbean, and some folks from the Caribbean, even some doctors I discover right here, say home remedies like some garlic, ginger, lime, and honey mixed together. They all mixed together, and they take it. They say take it. There's no side effect. They take it a certain amount, maybe 2 teaspoons or so, 2 times per day or several times per day, and you guys know, you ladies know how to make this thing. Then now we talk about avoiding. There are certain things we say you should avoid. You know how the heathen talk about daredevils who will walk from one mountain to another on a string. You call them daredevils, but don't try to be a dear angel. Well, you shouldn't be a dear devil. Christians don't use that kind of word. But you don't try to be a dear angel. If somebody get ill and they're really ill, it's not your job. It's somebody in the community, or someone in the street. It's not your job in this time of airborne diseases to just take them to the hospital. The best thing is to call 911 for them. They're in a situation where they probably cannot call. You call 911 for them and get the professionals to come and pick them up. And most times, even though you arrive there, the 911 people will do a better job. Because most time, by the time they arrive, they can begin to deal with the patient even before they get to the hospital. So don't try to be a dear angel. That's my word for what the secular call dear devil. You try to be wise. Maybe you got to spare yourself, both for yourself, for your family, for your church, for your ministry, etc., etc., etc. Then you have, the Lord give us a prophecy. The Lord gave us a prophecy, November 29, while I was in Atlanta, and the Lord said, gather the people, gather the people, gather the people, gather the people. And when God gave a revelation like this, it means that trouble is coming. It means that calamity is coming. And since then, we have been gathering for 3 months. Since then, because we got it in November 29, we gathered in December, we gathered in January, we gathered in February, and we continue together. And we are having a solemn assembly right now, going all the way to April 12th, where we increase our gathering dramatically, because we know the troubles are coming, and especially we in New York here, we know for certain, both from the scriptures in Revelation 17, 18, and many prophecies, that New York is on the radar for major calamity, major judgment. So you want to know, whenever there's trouble, New York has got to be more conscious, more careful, more prudent, and you'll be prudent but not paranoid. Get that? Prudent but not paranoid. Careful but not fearful. Let me say it again. You be prudent if you're in New York, anywhere worldwide, but particularly in New York. New York being the mountaintop of the world. Almost anything happening, you have to be extra careful in New York. You be prudent. You be prudent, not paranoid. You be careful, not fearful. All right. Okay now. And let me just leave you with an assurance right here. Assurance. Exodus 12 verse 13. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt. I have another scripture here. I believe in Proverbs chapter 1, verse 32 or 33. I want to read that one. I said, they that hearken unto the Lord shall be safe from evil. Yes. Proverbs 1. Let me see. Proverbs chapter 1, verse 33. It goes like this. It says, but whoso hearkeneth unto me shall dwell safely and shall be quiet from fear of evil. God bless you. Until next.